New Zealand Stitch Bird. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of upcycling slash creative ways of darning denim, and the inspiration for this project was from this book. It's called Mending Matters, and she's got lots of ideas how you can do patches on jeans. And I had a pair of ripped jeans which I was sort of thinking that they were starting to get a bit too ripped looking. So I'll show you what I did with those. But firstly, the materials that they recommend is sashiko needles, and they come in this cute little pack. I got these from my local handicraft sewing supplies, and they come in this wee tube. They're not cheap, but there's quite a few in there, and they're really super sharp. They actually pierce the denim really well. She also recommends using sashiko thread, and it comes in a skein that's sort of got a band around, a bit like your embroidery threads, but it is entirely different. It's kind of like a round fine string. See if you can see it close up in the video. Obviously this is all being pulled apart. So that's what I had left from my skein after I had completed my project. So I'll put some pics up how I prepared my project. So I did it to a pair of jeans. And what I did was I found some denim fabric and I made some patches up just by overlocking around the edges. So you can see that one's overlocked all around the edges, and just knotted it off. And then I placed them under each patch. Now I did redo this bottom patch. I'm assuming that they are going to still fray a little bit around the edges, but I cut all the fraying away and all the ripped bit away, and then attached the patches underneath and did some fancy stitches. So let's start with this wee one here. This wee one here, I did a blanket stitch around the edge and a couple of wee cross stitches. The one on the other side is basically just a blanket stitch around the area that's patched, and then I did a full-on over the patch running stitch, sort of sticking to a bit of the square of the patch, and finished it off with a little cross stitch. On this side I got a little bit more creative, and I went one way with my running stitches and the other way with my running stitches, and of course around the edges again with the blanket stitch. This one I decided to have a little bit of a play because it was a bit of an experimental piece. So I did a cross in my running stitches, went around the edge with my blanket stitch. I think this is called feather stitch, this one here, and I did a wee daisy stitch, a couple of wee French knots, just to add a little bit of interest. So I'll have a pic of me wearing these, and I'll throw some pics in. That's my dog crying in the background, by the way, if you're wondering. His name's Basil, and he doesn't really want to be in here, but too late, started filming. Anyway, so I'll put a pic up there of how I prepared my patches, and I've got a pic of just what it looks like as you start to blanket stitch around the edge. So I think they're quite, let us say, unique. So I'll have a pic of me wearing those so you can see. So in this book, she shows you ways that you can patch, and also ways that you can sort of do your stitching over the top, add some interesting patches to things. So it is quite a good book. See if I've got another good pic here. Adding interesting patches and things to clothes, which is quite cool. So that's one idea. The other idea I had, and this was done for me by my daughter during our lockdown in COVID. I had this denim jacket. I wasn't sure whether I wanted it anymore or not. Anyway, we got a bit creative because we had all this time on our hands, and I did a sort of an infusible ink transfer, which that's what it's called in the cricket world of cricket die cutting machines. And the rest of the world is called sublimation. So I did all my outline in that, mirrored it, and then I infused it onto my project so we could see where we needed to go. And my daughter was very clever. She'd never embroidered much before, But she went online and she taught herself how to do each of the stitches. So I'll just put that up close so you can see that. It's actually really amazing, and it's quite sort of 3D-ish. So I get a lot of compliments when I wear this. So I thought this would be really cool if you did it on a patch. And then if you got sick of the garment, you could always unpick it and then you could add it to a new garment. So it's got lots of potential actually, and it's actually a very fun project. And once you get set up with your flosses or embroidery silks, you know, you've got lots of options. We did iron some interfacing or stabilizer on the back just to help hold the pattern on. I just cut it away, so it doesn't look particularly good on the inside, but I'm not too worried about that. You're not going to see it. So yeah, that was a really cool idea. So yeah, so my challenge is to you, rather than throwing away things, why not add some interesting stitches and upcycle, I should say. So that's about all I've got for today, and I was going to do this week was going to be my lime green peasant top, but I've actually been away because it's school holidays in New Zealand at the moment. So I'm going to start that tomorrow, and that'll be my next week's video. I'm actually changing a little bit how it's constructed, so I'll talk you through what I did to that. So I'm going to get onto that tomorrow. Anyway, keep warm. We've had 24 plus degrees last week, and this week we've gone back to 10 degrees, so it's a bit chilly. So you need to have extra layers on. So I've got my Metro blazer on today, and it's keeping me nice and snuggly. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you next time.